Why didn't you apologize to Chris in your acceptance speech?
I want to let you know that there is a definitive blueprint that you can follow to achieve success, prosperity, longevity, and peace of mind. And keep Will Smith's wife's name out your mouth.
Eddie Murphy didn't just step onto the Golden Globe stage that night. He came with a mission, and the target was Will Smith. What looked like harmless career advice was actually a Hollywood ambush, carefully staged by the industry's most powerful players. That one joke wasn't random. It was a bullet aimed straight at Smith.
Disappointing people is my central trauma. I hate when I let people down.
The truth? Hollywood turned Smith's biggest fear into a weapon. They knew exactly how to humiliate him in front of the world, and they handpicked Murphy as the hitman.
If you hang on, I promise we'll be able to be friends again.
The truth. Hollywood turned Smith's biggest fear into a weapon. They knew exactly how to humiliate him in front of the world, and they handpicked Murphy as the hitman.
Why didn't you apologize to Chris in your acceptance speech? I was fogged out by that point.
The craziest part is Smith thought he was begging for forgiveness, but he never realized the game was rigged from the start. The industry never planned to let him climb back up. It was a setup from the jump. Within just 48 hours of the infamous Oscar slap, the boardrooms of Hollywood were buzzing with one agenda: bury Will Smith for good. While the public thought it was all outrage and shock, the insiders were already plotting his professional execution. They wanted to make an example out of him, and they didn't waste any time. Sony yanked the plug on Bad Boys 4, even though Smith already had 40 pages of script and the green light for production. Netflix froze Fast and Loose, a $130 million action flick meant to restart his blockbuster era. Apple TV Plus quietly buried Emancipation, his $120 million slavery epic that was supposed to be his Oscar redemption. Don't be fooled, these weren't separate business choices. These were coordinated strikes. Behind the scenes, studio bosses, streaming execs, and agency partners were on the phone, making sure everyone played their role. The warning was crystal clear. Anybody who worked with Will Smith would pay the price. The Academy didn't waste a single second. Smith was hit with a shocking 10-year ban from all Oscar events. And let's be real, this wasn't just punishment for the slap. It was a public execution of his Hollywood status. That ban cut him off from the most powerful room in the industry. No networking, no red carpets, no support for other films, no campaigning for awards. In Hollywood, that's social and career death. But here's where it gets wild. Rumors say the Academy's lightning-fast move wasn't about morality at all. It was part of a bigger strategy coordinated with studios who wanted legal cover to blacklist him. With the Academy's ruling, studios could now shrug and say, "It's not us, it's policy." And that 10-year number, it wasn't random. It was designed to wipe out Smith's last big earning years as a leading man. Behind the curtain, the fallout was brutal. Agencies stopped answering calls about Will's projects. Publicists warned their clients to avoid being seen with him. No photos, no praise, nothing. The Hollywood machine that had carried him to the top for decades suddenly vanished in weeks. It was a cold reminder. Even the brightest stars shine only as long as the industry allows it.
Know that there is a definitive blueprint that you can follow to achieve success, prosperity, longevity, and peace of mind.
Smith had no clue how deep this went. While he stumbled through his Oscar speech saying he was fogged out, Hollywood power players were already plotting his demolition. His career wasn't slipping. It was being dismantled step by step. The slap wasn't just about Chris Rock, it was about breaking an unwritten law. In Hollywood, stars can be difficult, even messy behind closed doors. But one rule is sacred. You never embarrass the system in public. And Smith did it at the industry's holy temple, the Oscars. That wasn't just a mistake. It was treated like treason. The way Hollywood moved against Will Smith was way too fast, too clean, and too calculated to be spontaneous outrage. Come on, it was a coordinated takedown. The top players had already decided his fate long before the cameras stopped rolling at the Oscars. This wasn't anger. This was a surgical strike designed to erase Smith and warn anyone else thinking about stepping out of line. Canceling his movies and banning him from award shows was only part of the plan. Those moves might have slowed him down, but Hollywood wanted something bigger, something final. They needed a hit so brutal that Smith's reputation would be crushed forever, leaving no path for a comeback. That's where Eddie Murphy came in. Murphy wasn't chosen by accident. He was handpicked as the industry's executioner. At 61, Eddie had already survived scandals, career slumps, and public drama that would have ruined most stars. He was untouchable, bulletproof in ways younger comedians could never dream of. That made him the perfect weapon, and Eddie's legend gave him power. When a comedy icon with 5 decades of success speaks, the industry doesn't question it. They applaud. Murphy could deliver the harshest joke of the night, and instead of backlash, people would laugh and nod like it was wisdom from an elder. He could destroy Will Smith with one punchline and make it look like friendly advice. The timing was no coincidence either. Murphy was awarded the Cecil B. DeMille Honor in 2023, but think about it. He could have been given that recognition at any point in his career. Why then? Because the industry needed a respected mouthpiece to slam the door shut on Smith's attempted comeback. Even more deadly, Murphy had credibility with both sides. He'd worked with Will. He was close to Chris Rock, and he'd been part of the comedy circle for decades. That meant his words couldn't be brushed off as hate, jealousy, or rivalry. When Murphy dropped that line, it cut deep because it came from someone who knew them all personally. And the stage perfectly chosen. The Golden Globes guaranteed a star-studded audience with every major figure in the business sitting front and center. Cameras were rolling. Millions were watching worldwide. And there was no way for Smith to dodge the blow.
Blueprint, and I followed it my whole career. It's very simple. There's 3 things. You just do these 3 things. Pay your taxes, mind your business, and keep Will Smith's wife's name out your mouth.
By the time he dropped the third, it hit like a hammer. The cruel callback that turned Smith's own words from the Oscars into a weapon against him. That was the ultimate humiliation. Smith wasn't just mocked for the slap. He was forced to relive it, this time twisted into a punchline. And instead of gasps of shock, the room erupted in laughter. That laughter said everything. It wasn't just a joke. It was Hollywood telling the world, Will Smith is finished. The explosion of laughter inside the Beverly Hilton ballroom wasn't just about a clever punchline. It was Hollywood finally letting out months of bottled-up tension since the Oscar slap. Eddie Murphy had given the entire industry permission to laugh at Will Smith's pain, and they didn't hold back for a second. This was more than comedy. It was collective release, the sound of insiders reveling in his downfall. Murphy's timing was razor sharp. He saved the kill shot for the very end of his speech, making sure every eye was on him, every ear hanging on his words. Each pause between his advice built suspense until the last punchline dropped like a bomb. His smirk, his posture, his delivery. It all screamed confidence. No hesitation, no fear, no concern about blowback. This wasn't a joke. It was an execution carried out with precision. And the effect was immediate. The ballroom roared. Social media lit up within minutes, and Murphy's line was trending worldwide before Smith could even catch his breath. Reporters called it the moment of the night. But let's be real, nothing about it felt improvised. Murphy's wording was too sharp, the delivery too polished, the hit too perfect. He had rehearsed this strike, planned it, and unleashed it like a pro who knew exactly why he was doing it. For Will Smith, the devastation was instant. Witnesses said he looked visibly shaken, forced to sit there as his months of redemption work went up in smoke. The man who had been carefully rebuilding his image was now watching his humiliation become the main event of the evening. And Hollywood's reaction, it was chilling. That roar of laughter wasn't just appreciation, it was celebration. The same industry that had built him into a superstar was now toasting his destruction in public. The humiliation didn't stop there. Within minutes, clips of Murphy's punchline flooded Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, amplified by celebrities, media insiders, and late-night hosts who all piled on. Murphy's joke didn't just trend, it went viral across the globe, reaching millions who hadn't even watched the Golden Globes. By the next day, talk show monologues were built around it. Memes were everywhere, and Smith's slap was back in circulation, but this time as a running gag. Murphy's career advice had been weaponized into a cultural moment, locking Smith's embarrassment into the public memory for months to come. Even after the Golden Globes wrapped, the fallout didn't stop. If anything, it grew louder. Reporters and analysts tore Murphy's joke apart piece by piece. The build-up, the punchline, the crowd's reaction, and what it all meant for both Murphy and Smith. Every detail was dissected, ensuring that even people who hadn't seen the show were dragged into the conversation.
Disappointing people is my central trauma. I hate when I let people down.
Murphy's strike cut deep because it weaponized Smith's most personal wound. During his apology tour, Smith had admitted that his biggest fear was disappointing people. And that's exactly what Murphy flipped into a punchline, forcing Smith to relive his trauma in front of millions. That wasn't comedy. That was psychological warfare dressed up as entertainment. The internet's reaction showed just how perfectly the plot worked. Memes mocking Smith flooded timelines. Jokes piled up, and Murphy's punchline dominated every platform. Sympathy for Smith was rare, and anytime it did appear, it was drowned out almost instantly by ridicule. Hollywood's power brokers, the same ones who had already iced him out, watched the chaos unfold like it was mission accomplished. The speed of the media cycle was suspicious too. Within minutes, entertainment outlets had headlines ready, clips circulating, and panelists praising Murphy's legendary timing. It looked coordinated, as if publicists and PR machines had been waiting to pounce. Some even whisper that algorithms were pushed to keep the joke trending, ensuring Smith's humiliation stayed front and center for as long as possible. The message was loud and clear. Will Smith was toxic. Anyone standing beside him risked career suicide. The industry wanted that stigma to stick, and Murphy's joke delivered it better than any press release ever could. But this moment wasn't just about Smith. It was a warning shot to the entire Hollywood elite. Step out of line, embarrass the system, and you'll be taken down publicly, no matter how big your name is. The slap had broken an unwritten code, and the punishment was designed to make an example out of him. In the end, Murphy's punchline didn't just sting for a night, it sealed Smith's fate. That laugh-filled joke became a career obituary, ensuring his name would forever carry the shadow of that slap. Hollywood had spoken. Will Smith wasn't coming back to the top. The damage from Murphy's ambush went way beyond a cheap laugh. It ripped apart everything Will Smith had been working on for months. All the therapy sessions, carefully crafted apologies, and staged public appearances were wiped out in under 30 seconds. Murphy's punchline proved just how easily Hollywood's power brokers could erase years of rebuilding with one well-timed joke. Smith's desperate pleas for forgiveness now looked weak, almost pitiful. After that moment, Murphy had basically told the world Smith's redemption story doesn't matter. His growth means nothing, and the industry has no intention of letting him back in. It was a door slammed shut in front of millions of viewers. The fallout didn't just scar Smith's image, it hit his pockets too. Studios that had quietly considered giving him another shot suddenly remembered how radioactive he still was. Murphy's humiliation became the loud reminder. Touching Will Smith was career poison. That joke wasn't entertainment. It was a warning broadcast to every executive and filmmaker. Now Smith's legacy is chained to two moments: the Oscar slap and the Golden Globe humiliation. No matter what he achieves next, those two stains will always shadow him. Murphy carved a wound that Hollywood has no interest in letting heal. And the celebration of it all was just as brutal. Smith had earned billions for studios over 3 decades, built hit after hit, but none of that mattered once he broke the industry's sacred code. The laughter that night wasn't just about Murphy being funny. It was Hollywood officially declaring Smith finished. Even though nothing is confirmed, everything points to Murphy's punchline being the final nail in the coffin. The blacklist that started after the Oscars ended with this public execution, making it clear supporting Smith came with social and professional consequences. The whole saga proved one thing: Hollywood's power brokers don't just control careers, they control narratives. With media outlets, social platforms, and viral coverage on their side, they turn one of their biggest stars into a cautionary tale for the rest of the industry. Step out of line and they'll destroy you in plain sight. After Murphy's punchline, Will Smith's career never looked the same again. The man who once pulled in $20 million a movie was suddenly clinging to smaller roles and low-profile projects, grateful for any screen time he could get. That one joke had permanently shifted his entire trajectory. Hollywood made sure of it. But this wasn't just about Smith. The real message was aimed at every other star watching from the sidelines. Step out of line and the machine will crush you too. Murphy's moment proved the industry's power. It can turn its brightest talent into an outcast overnight. And there's no loyalty once you break the unspoken code. Smith's humiliation became the ultimate cautionary tale, a chilling lesson in how Hollywood devours its own when they stop being useful. What started with the Oscar slap ended with a perfectly timed punchline that buried him. In the blink of an eye, Smith went from adored superstar to industry exile. For Eddie Murphy, it was framed as comedy brilliance. For Will Smith, it became a nightmare with no end in sight. Hollywood's message couldn't be clearer. Some mistakes are never forgiven and some scars never fade. Anyway, that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear what you think. See you on the next one.